And when Craig gets sabotaged because he jacks up his leg or something and gets injured, he has to donate $365 to the North Carolina Tar Heels Scholarship Fund.
Never happens.
I love this.
I would crawl.
That idea.
I would crawl 365 miles through broken glass and fire ants.
You gotta do, get to the bag. Stay at your 9 if I get on the avenue. You ain't cut out for them tags. Yeah.
You know, a lot of good advice, I guess. I see. It's a bunch of bullshit. And it's a lot of fun. You can win a lot of money. I will not hurt you. Come to the light, children. Play.
By light, he means dark, by the way.
Yeah.
For sure.
You better believe they're looking for me. One time, I'm going for mine.
I plan on studying 4-bet shove spots versus a 3-bet squeeze when there's 2 limpers in the pot already at about 55 big blinds, 3/4 of the way through the tournament.
I feel like you owe us a double
good strategy,
dose of input into the hand history, Joe.
Yeah, where's that 40 minutes?
Fuck GTO.
Yes.
I'ma go get it. We just keep pushing the limit. I am like all the way with it, all the way living. Y'all are just bearing the weight.
Poker is like never going to be solved right. I mean, too many combinations. We all know that. Like you can maybe solve pre-flop charts, whatever, but there's too many combinations of decision making to ever have it be solved. So, I mean, can't you get to almost the very top and just let your opponents make mistakes?
Maybe I'm not, but I'm better than you, yeah. But all of them voices, we got them. Lie to me, Hillary Rodham. I just came back from my kid in the bottom.
Yeah, I'll do the dad hat thing. I'll do it.
All right, we're in.
No. You have to do the North Carolina hat. No, we won't make him not wear a hat because I want to walk around with the guy. That's the first thing is I do want to enjoy my time out with the guy. You know, when we go to dinner. I don't want people staring at me. But like the North Carolina thing, yeah, we can do that.
You better believe they're looking for me.
Is anybody going to win a Grizzly before the series is over?
I'm going to play one first.
I'm going to win one. Fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, I gotta go. This how it go. Yeah, I'm dying a legend and just say no. I gotta go. This how it go. Yeah, I'm dying a legend and just say no. Yeah, I'm going for mine. Going for mine. You put it on me. You put it on me. You better believe. You better believe. You better believe they're looking for me. I'm going for mine, you put it on mine. You better believe they're looking for me. I'm going for mine, you put it on mine. You better believe they're looking for me. I'm going for mine, you put it on mine. You better believe they're looking for me. I'm going for mine, you put it on mine. You better believe they're looking for me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chase the Dream podcast. My name is Rob Gardner, and I am joined by some amazing friends of mine. We've got Mika Richards, Brett Kimes, Day. I'm not going to say your last name because I'm going to mess it up. I'm just kidding. It's Shabatone, right?
Shabatone.
It is.
I got it.
Yeah.
Craig Savage and my own Jay Carafiello. Hope you guys are doing well. Sean is out crushing the live poker streets, I think, tonight. So he will not be joining us. But he's been doing well and sends his love and regards. Shout out to some of our early fans out here. Vice Chick, MJ, Benny the Jet. Good to see all of you out there in the streets. First things first. I mean, Jay kind of slacked on us the last couple weeks, if I'm being honest. He didn't really put a sign up the last couple weeks. He was mindset strong. He had a lot of things going on. We understand. But Jay, you got a new sign for us today. So what do we got cooking here?
Yeah. You know, I was truly inspired, today's pod being Mom Spaghetti. And I'm pretty sure most people out there know what that is, but we're switching that over to a play off of that, right? So lose yourself. And to be honest, Rob, I really want to.
Man, you made the music come back in.
Yeah, man, had that music going. I think what most people miss in the message, right? Like think of what's said in that song. For those that don't know, it is "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, which hashtags my favorite artist. But and there's a spot in there, right, where he says, "Success is my only option, failure's not. Mom, I love you, but this trailer's got to go. I can't grow old in Salem's lot. So here I go. It's my shot. Feet fail me not. This may be the only opportunity that I got." And then he ends the song saying, "You can do anything you set your mind to, man." The whole message of the song is about hope, resilience, and self-belief, right? So if you reflect that, it's like a direct reflection of our journeys and probably most people's journeys in what we do in life and this game. So, yeah, man, Mom Spaghetti, we're nervous, you know?
So "Lose Yourself" is one of the songs I have in my hype list before I go play tournaments. It's in the playlist.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Do you guys all have hype playlist? I literally just made a hype. I'm not even kidding. It's right here on my screen. A hype playlist that I made like 5 days ago. Is that a thing for everybody?
Yeah. Just told you mine.
I have a WSOP hype playlist every year, and it's categorized with WSOP 2022, 23, 24. So it's kind of cool to go back because it brings me back to those times.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Danger Zone is on my hype list every time I go to shuffle. I play that song.
Mine too. That's funny.
Every time I go to Orleans.
How much, Craig? How much Simon and Garfunkel is on your hype list, buddy?
None. Come on, man. I do have a workout playlist that I use when I go to the gym. It's pretty fun, but I don't really have a poker one.
We might have to share all of our hype lists before the summer. It would be kind of cool to get into each of your heads and kind of hear. I'm sure there's songs on all of our different lists that would we'd be like, oh, that's really hype. It'd be kind of a cool thing to collaborate on. Today's going to be a very transparent conversation, very fun conversation as we talk a little bit about where we're at now in the poker world and what we're trying to accomplish now, and more importantly, what's going to happen this summer. We've been, I don't know what the word is, kind of ruminating, I guess, for lack of a better word, on the idea of having an official season 2 of Chase the Dream. And we've been waffling and trying to find a time to talk about it. I'm like, let's just talk about it on the pod. So we're going to be talking about the present. We're going to be talking about the future. We're going to be talking about the summer, especially in plans. But first, I want to start by just catching up on where everybody is currently. And for me personally, I'm going through a crazy shift, which will surprise no one. I frequently get given a hard time in love from my friends about how often I change my mind on things. But one of the things I love to do is I love to try and error things until I figure them out. And this year, it looks like the theme for me for the rest of this year is going to be parking my ass in this chair here and grinding the hell out of online poker. I cannot believe how much softer global poker has gotten since Nevada's pulled out of the market. I'm playing in tournaments that I used to like.
Bro,
that's not that kind of thing, Rob.
I said ACR. I can't believe how much softer ACR has gotten since Nevada's pulled out of the market. But the tournaments that I used to like have to really struggle in, like now I'm getting to final tables and there's like 5 people purple tagged at my table at a final table for a lot of money, and purple tag's not good. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's really ripe with opportunity. I already played a lot of online last summer when I went to Vegas. So I think that's just the play with everything going on right now, to lock into the safe and secure money, build the hell out of my bankroll. And I'm also in this weird place where I'm finding out that the players that study GTO aren't GTO players. They're very good at GTO calling ranges, but they really suck at GTO raising ranges. And I've been exploiting the living daylights out of it, and I'm having so much goddamn fun. Because here I am playing with these people that have really sick shark scopes, and I keep expecting them to adjust to things I'm doing, and they're just not. I don't know if it's because they're playing 14 tables. I don't know if it's because they don't realize what I'm doing, but I'm just living it up. I'm loving it. I'm having fun with it. It's been very lucrative, and I just putting that up against the summer in Vegas, like I just can't make a case for being out there with the way things are going. So that's
Rob,
where I'm at. Yes.
Didn't you bust Mika out of a tournament like a day ago, 2 days ago? Are
You
you
know,
picking on Mika?
She was a purple
no,
tag. She was a purple
it
tag.
was,
A purple tag.
look, it was a situation of multiple misfortunes. I had
Oh,
kings, she had aces. I defended the 3-bet to play trappy. We were both playing trappy, and then I turned the king, and we just kind of
okay.
like
And
the thing is, like, I was trying to trap her. She was trapping me, and had the turn not been a king or an ace, she was getting my whole stack.
Okay.
So
I just want to call
probably
Rob out on his shit. It's a little random, actually, but Rob, as you're talking about all these purple tags,
yes,
I just keep going back to listening to your stream and how much bullshit it is that you are like, if you see yourself as a purple tag, it's probably because I only have one hand on you. And it's don't take it personally.
Right.
He fucking thinks you're a fish. Take it personally.
You are the fish. Hey, Rob, so
calling him out. Go Mika.
You made the comment about the GTO punishment thing. So you mean like GTO is it's not the way? I feel bamboozled.
Look,
here. I was just taught that GTO is just the way. Am I wrong?
I'm gonna be blunt. GTO is a drug. Okay, it is a drug for people who want a 100% assurance that they have the safe answer, because poker is a game of incomplete information. And what GTO provides is a solution that can't be exploited. So it gives people this false appearance of having a perfect solution for an imperfect problem. And the problem with that is we play in a very imperfect world. So if you have aspirations to getting to the top, absolutely. I'm not saying that GTO is not worth learning or it can't be a valuable tool, but a lot of people are hiring a $150,000 excavator to dig a 3-inch hole in their backyard. And I'm just out here seeing what they're doing and seeing how they're misapplying things and finding ways to take advantage of it. And I'm just not going back. So
good for you. Hashtag
I think
fuck GTO.
I think it's really, really good for 3% of the population. And I think it's ruining a lot of people's games.
Right.
Great analogy.
But this isn't about me. This isn't about me. This is about all of us. So, Dave, what do you got going on? Because they're talking about me. You put out a chart that had like 4 times the ROI I had. So you're the one we should be talking to about poker strategy.
All right. Well, first of all, the number 1 song on my hype list is Gloria Gaynor, "I Will Survive." And I play it like whenever I sit down at a table. That's the first song I listen to. Anyway. Oh, yes, I'm doing awesome. You guys, I feel like, okay, I just want to be real with everybody. I had to put out a message to these guys earlier today because I'm like, I don't want to sound braggadocious. I don't want to be like, I'm doing amazing. Like, I was like, is it okay that I actually kind of tell everyone? And everyone agreed, yes, be yourself. Just go ahead and do it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it online. I want our viewers, you guys, if you're watching this, I want you to benefit from the stuff we're benefiting from. And I'm not going to listen to Craig, who's saying, shh, global poker is so freaking soft right now. If you don't have an account, sign up. I'm not an affiliate, but
use promo code DAY.
man, it is soft right now. And so sign up, play, start at the 5s or the 11s, but just get in there. And Craig and I were talking like the 55s are soft now. It's pretty cool. So online, I have been crushing. Sunday, I had a fantastic Sunday where I had a 2K score, which is amazing. Live, I didn't get to play live this month, but as far as quarterly, I'm doing great live. I'm doing great online, and I'm kind of like with Rob, like you kind of feel like you could just ride this out for a while as long as we can, like ride it out and keep playing. But heading to Europe, so I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I'm crushing it right now. Very exciting.
Dave, is there something specific though that you're attributing the success to? You say that the fields have gotten softer, but you have to have done something to. It's not just that other people are worse. What have you done to get better?
Well, one thing which, okay, Mika is in charge of that partnered poker. We've talked about it before with doing the mentor and the mentee. And I'm a mentor right now. And I think coaching and talking through other people's hands, I think that's helping. Talking hands with you guys is helping. I've been tweaking a lot, like from where I was a year ago online. And I've changed up a couple things where I used to be one of those people who would play GTO all the time or try to get as close, obviously. None of us are playing GTO, but trying to get as close as I could with certain situations and just changing that to like exploit the average online player. It just, you guys, my chart, like my sharp scope is like da 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 da, and then just recently it's like that. Like it's crazy. But yeah, there are just certain tricks. I'm not going to tell all my secrets, but there's certain tricks, Rob knows. Rob
Well, you
knows.
can't. Yeah. Don't tell all your secrets on the pod. I was just wondering if there was something like from a preparation or mindset that you were doing differently. But it sounds like you just got everybody figured out. So I haven't won a hand online lately, so I don't know.
Oh,
I think there's a little bit
Sorry
of
about that,
pressure to play more than one tournament or to multi-tournaments when you're playing online. Can you talk about what you do or what your thought process is about that?
that's such a good question because it's something that I think about all the time. Rob, how many tables are you playing at a time
9 to
on
12.
average? Okay. I play 2 on average. And, I'm not that much older than Rob, but I think he's been playing for such a long time and he was playing way more pre Black Friday. I was playing 3 roles pre Black Friday. So the way that my brain works is right now optimally 2 tables is really good for me. Sometimes I'll do 3 or 4, but then a bunch of times I'll just have 1 up, and be doing different things as I play. It for me, for my focus and to like I feel like I'm playing really well, I need a limited amount of tables. I every time I add it and I'm playing 4, I just feel like I'm missing too many things. And that's again, it's like I feel like I'm totally not a pro. I'm just a recreational because I can't get to that like 8, 10, 12 table. And I don't think I ever will. I wanted to make that a goal at one point. First conversation I had with Rob, I wanted to make that a goal. And now I'm just like, 2 is fine. 3 is fine.
4 is about the most I can do. So I feel you on that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting because you're younger. I would have thought you'd have 12 going.
I just like to concentrate. I feel like when I have like 6 or 8, I just autopilot and I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. And then it's kind of just, I don't know, it's not the same. I can't really do any exploitative moves. I feel like it's all just like, autopilot's probably the best phrase for it. So I don't like doing it that way. It's not how I play.
What's really interesting for me is that I started off at 4 tables as well. And then I worked my way up and I was only being able to do 6 tables. But then somebody really pushed me. They're like, just do 13 tables. Just do it. And I started to do it and I was like really overwhelmed. But probably after a day, it became really like I became in tune with it, and it cut all those other distractions out of my life that I thought were important, like checking my phone, because I didn't have time for it. And it took me away from being on autopilot because I didn't have that dead space in my brain. But I asked that question, Day, because I think it's important not to get pressured in, because there's an edge you're getting by playing two tables because you're optimizing it. So I think it's dealer's choice when it comes to what you can handle.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, what is this going to do for your travel strat? Not having ACR when you go overseas. What is that going to do for you? Does it change anything? Or are you just going to strictly focus live?
No, I'm going to play online for sure. I'm actually choosing where we're going and like where we might end up relocating to based on like poker. So it's a huge part of our decision making. So I'm looking at places where online poker is legal. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you like? I'm excited to play Poker Stars. I know all the geniuses are out there on Poker Stars, but
Yeah, but you'd like the
I don't know.
challenge.
Yeah. Well, you'll come back a GG Pro.
I was gonna say GG. I love their software.
Winning.
GG software.
Yeah,
Is so good.
GG, Poker Stars, like it's the dream, right? You know, I don't know. I'm
We'll get you a
excited.
$1.5 million a year contract. I could use a backer. And
So speaking of like GG Poker Stars, they are different than Global. They are different than WPT Gold, right? So like, are you planning on studying anything? I mean, I know we all say fuck GTO, but I feel like for those sites, you kind of have to be more focused on GTO. So are you like thinking about studying that more, or like what's your plan?
I think there's going to be a learning curve. I do study every week. Like I really do. I study it even if I deviate a lot when I play in global. But there's going to definitely be a learning curve, and I'm not expecting to be a winning player out of the gate on those sites. I feel like, I mean, I'm going to have to use a HUD for the first time. Like it's going to be a big change, but I'll figure it out. I'm excited. I'll keep you guys updated.
You'll do fine.
There's still plenty of purple tags, trust me, on the sites. There's just a lot more GTO players.
Those purple tags, man, I tell you,
God.
that's where all the money
started something.
By the way, mine are blue for fish, like ocean in the water. I don't know. Is that weird that y'all's are purple
tags?
Blue are my high stakes crushers, Brett. Maybe you
mine are red.
That
like
up.
red, like stay away, or like caution. Yeah, see, red, that makes sense to me. Orange is like
you got to buy the course. You got to buy the course. You buy the course, but you get the ramp poker course, and you'll understand these tags.
That makes sense.
All right, let's move on to Craig. Craig, what's going on with you? What's your update?
Craig is back playing some poker after the little hiatus to focus on getting the soccer season fished up. I'm back in the live poker streets. Online, not so much. Playing a little bit online just to kind of like a little stress relief and get some reps in. But got back into the live card room, got a final table, got stressed out about my prop bet and had to find a tournament to play this Sunday. So I jumped into a PLO, actually Congress, so PLO 8 with 5 cards. So I play little mixed games, and I had so much fun playing that tournament, and I made another final table. So we're 12 live events into the 20 for the prop bet, and we have 3 final tables. So we haven't put in the volume, but the quality has been there. So hopefully we can keep that going in that direction. And then just looking forward to the summer, I really got to map out the summer. I block time on my calendar. I do teach a summer course and have some responsibilities in summer, but it's a lot more flexible. And I blocked out time for going out to Vegas, and I blocked out time for a little vacay. But I need to kind of get it down on paper and like really map it out. But a lot of that may depend on my running mate there. I don't know what Jay's doing, like if he's going to be out there with me, if I'm going solo. I don't know what this guy's doing. So, but yeah, I'm looking for opportunities locally to keep getting numbers for my prop bet. So back out there.
You You really don't want to wear that North Carolina hat, do you?
No, no,
I have it.
no. I'm playing mixed games just so I don't have to wear that damn hat.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Like, are you no longer like a no limit guy?
I'll tell you what.
I mean? Like, are you the mixed guy now, or what?
Here, it's weird because I've always been kind of like interested in the other games. Like, I just like games. I like solving problems. And I like learning new things. And so the coolest part about it was I was literally learning the game as we were playing the tournament. Like, I mean, I knew the basics, but like as it's unfolding, I was totally engaged, like fully engaged. I sometimes when I'm playing Hold'em, I'm not engaged. Like I can autopilot. I kind of like I don't know rest on things like muscle memory, but this required me to be like so in the moment that I had a lot of fun, and it actually made me excited to like maybe go learn some new games. Like every Sunday at Texas Card House, they're doing a different variant. They're rotating through. So they got Deuce to 7 next week. So I like went online last night. Like, how do you play this game? So
Is that next week?
Yeah, this Sunday, Deuce to 7.
I'm a Deuce to 7 legend. You know,
Right.
if you're planning this summer, the easiest path, in my opinion, and I've always said this, like to a bracelet, is to play the mixed games. Like if you're going out in the summer, like that's the path.
Really?
So I think you need to honestly. This is not even a joke. I know I give you a lot of shit because you're the world's best poker player, but like you probably need to really focus on some mixed games because that is probably a good path to a bracelet. You know what I mean? If the bracelet is on your list, right?
I would think that that's where you get people who are like really specialists, like they really are like the best at that game. Whereas in Hold'em, you got a lot of people who just like think they're good.
No.
No?
There's definitely a lot of PLO people think they're PLO players that play, then don't know what
PLO though a lot of people play, and that just feels like just a gambler game. I'm talking about like I want to play Badoogie. I want to play, PLO 8, not PLO. Like
there's people that take shots though and just try to win a bracelet that way. They don't know what they're doing in those games. I guarantee it. Now you are going to find more experts, clearly, but
I think the other.
I don't think it's. I kind of disagree with Jay. I don't think it's easier. I think it's less variant route.
Like, well, D-Negs is the best.
I don't think
PLO
it's
guy on
easier.
the planet. So,
well, the other thing I think is somewhat problematic for the mixed games is you can find some low buy-in Hold'em tournaments. The mixed games, they don't have as many at the lower price points. And so I think that dissuades people who are kind of novice at the game to get in there. Certainly would make me a little bit anxious.
Not Raz. A lot of fish in the Raz game. That's what you need to learn.
Okay.
So speaking of other variants, what are you planning on learning? Like, what do you want to learn? Like, so Deuce to 7, you mentioned, PLO 8.
2 summers ago, Rob taught me Badoogie at the kitchen table, and I found it really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So I would love to play maybe even like a mixed game tournament where you like rotate through the games. Like a 8-game mix or a 5-game mix, or obviously I've never horse event.
Horse event's a good
fun
idea.
to like play a little bit.
Yeah, dealer's choice too.
Got to find you a seniors Badoogie event this summer.
That's exactly what I want. Seniors Badoogie, I'm all about it.
Seniors Badoogie event. Holy shit!
I think the only people playing Badoogie are seniors. I think.
Sure.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here that it doesn't exist.
Mika, what do you got going on? Are you actually playing cards again?
Well, today I'm wearing my Women's Winter Festival that I got in London because I am starting to get the itch for poker back. So I thought it was really fitting to wear my poker hoodie that's just really comfortable and nice.
You're bragging. You're bragging. Okay.
Am I not supposed to?
No, you can brag away.
Yeah, brag away. She never brags. Brag away.
I'll take it back. Jay,
you came out of retirement and final table. Did you not talk about your final table?
Right.
So my dad came to visit last week, and every time he comes to visit, like we have to play a poker game. Like that, he's the one that got me into it. That's the thing we do. We travel together. We play poker. So there was like a Thursday $300 event going on, and we had to last longer. I said $50 last longer. He's like, make it 100. So it's like, okay, it's your money that you're losing. And I came in 7th out of and in the money. So that was really nice because it's the first game that I've played in, I don't even, 4 months live. So yeah, that was really nice. And kind of like Craig was just describing, I had to think through everything. Not that there weren't autopilot subconscious GTO decisions in my brain. It's just that's not where you apply those decisions. So I wasn't going to lean on those for my thought processes. And I was very happy and content with the decision making that I've played. And I think it's probably due to just taking such a long break.
How did it feel getting back on the felt, touching the cards again, peeling, each card, and, every 3 seconds? How'd that feel?
Great. My brain felt so mentally stimulated after. Like I was riding a high. I just felt good going to bed and proud going to bed that night. And woke up feeling refreshed and like full, like a little pep in my step. And like it's a local tournament, so I know a lot of the people that play there. And I love how in the poker world, you don't see people for potentially months at a time, but the next time you see them, it's like you just saw them yesterday and you pick up where you left off and you can just have organic, great conversations. Like they just happened. So big fan of that.
So Mika, do you have anything? Are you planning on like getting back out there now? You gonna start doing this more often than every 4 months?
So I haven't really shared this very much. I was a professional for 2.5 years, shared that often. But what I haven't shared is the amount of guilt I've had being away from my relationship during that time. That now when I think about putting poker in front of spending time in the relationship, I feel a little bit of guilt. And it's not guilt that's coming from my partner, right? It's internal guilt because I know that was a really tough time for my partner to go through. And like so it's probably just something internal that I need to work through on top of my 40-hour-a-week job, on top of doing the pod, on top of all the other things I'm doing in the poker world. So I still haven't figured out how to manage that and rebalance it in.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah, balance is always tough for sure. Jay, what do you got going on?
Nothing.
Yeah, come on, you got something.
Well, unlike my famous poker family around me, they're just, you guys are just caging everything. I'm not that way at the moment. So I think I'm going to switch gears until June, to be very honest, it's possibly like, I mean, there's a lot that could change between now and then. I've just been like, I've had a lot of strong focus on my business overall, / businesses. As Rob knows, I actually talked to him the other day. I'm venturing into something else as well. But you guys know me, but that also prevents me from playing a lot of live. So I haven't really had like my cash grinds, so the plan in between time is just increase my online over at America's Card Room. And but that takes the live cash or any cash kind of out of the mix right now, because as you guys know, I do not play cash online. So aside of that, like, I think in the background, I'm going to be working on a lot of starting my content journey. So I'm working on a lot of that. I have a good content coach. I could share who that is one day, but I have a good content coach that's been teaching me some things in the background. But I'm going to start that because, I have the long-term focus. So in conjunction with like my business and, the online grind, I have some really exciting things that I have coming up that will be part of the poker world as well. So I think like that's probably the biggest thing for me. Not to say like I'm completely gonna, walk away, but
2 questions, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
All these businesses, you need investors?
I hope.
I gotta find a safe place to park my money these days because
your money is safe with me, Craig.
Okay. Second, this content thing. Do you need a videographer? I mean, I know a guy who's willing to travel this summer.
Yeah.
Do you pay a per diem? I mean, do I get some housing costs? Like I got to follow you around with, like you, Negrano, and me and my camera. Like what's gonna be like?
You can't keep up with me. I move.
You're
too
so
fast.
slow. I can keep up.
I move too fast, bro. You can't. You can't.
You're
keep
a slow
up with me.
walker. You're notoriously
it's
a slow
funny
walker.
you say that about the videography. So I actually have one now that I have locked in, and actually I do pay their per diem. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I do.
Is there a genetic connection to this one?
Kinda. So they get to do it. I don't have to spend so much because I'm already spending so much. But I will have a videographer. It's going to be awesome. I'll try to squeeze you in there, but you can't keep up with me. You're too slow.
Okay.
You got to get that media pass. Did you apply for one yet? So you can have.
No, I got to do that.
Yeah,
I got to do that. I need to do one for Choctaw. You think they'll let me do it? I mean, they let everybody else in there.
I don't know. Maybe worth asking.
Yeah, I think.
By the way, if you need an editor, I know somebody.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
So, like, so you're coming out of retirement again for what, the 13th, 14th time? I think. When's this all happening? Like, what? Give us a date. Your fans want to know, man.
It's the 15th time that I'll be coming out of retirement. You know, retirement gets tough, man. You know, you sit around, you know, really making as much at the table. So I'm going to work hard to come out of retirement. It's going to be a big debut. There'll be a lot of things attached. That'll probably be maybe Saturday because I feel like someone is trying to call me out here about an event here in the danger zone at Shuffle. So maybe I'll come out on Saturday, but definitely going to be firing Choctaw. So that'll be my my return to the lovely felt. If you guys would love to join me, let me know. But I'm going to go out there and I got to come out of retirement. I'm pissed off I'm not playing cash like that right now. But again, my focus is on some other things. You know what I mean? As Rob put it today, mom's spaghetti, right? So I'm going to lose myself in my business right now because this is a really good opportunity for me. And I think like I need to capitalize on it. So
I got the WPT itch also, my man. I got that itch going right now.
Speaking of content,
I need a horse.
Speaking of content, Rob, a few summers ago, Rob, you're muted. You're muted, Rob.
You're muted, Rob, intentionally.
I know.
Okay.
I am.
So
I'm doing you guys a favor.
A few summers ago, Rob, you created some content that a lot of us really enjoyed. And some people have been clamoring for more.
Yeah, we've been kicking this around for a while. You know, when we first created Chase the Dream, we wanted to differentiate from all the poker content out there in two ways. One, God bless vlogs. They're great, but if I have to see one more video of somebody fast forwarding through a casino and then playing 7 hand histories and then fast forwarding to the cage and showing their cash out, I'm going to pull my hair out. I wanted to see content that was story driven and brought people behind the scenes of what it's like to, you know, aggressively pursue a poker career, whether that's as a full-time poker professional or as a hobby, an enthusiast, passionate hobby, to show the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and let people kind of see behind the iron curtain, so to speak. And it did way better than I anticipated, considering that we had zero budget. I had zero training, and you know, I bought a $200 GoPro type camera off eBay and did most of the editing while we were out in Vegas. But I think what made it hit was it was content about everyday people. So much of the poker content out there these days is high rollers and big names with millions of dollars, and that's cool and all, but who can relate to that, right? So having something where just everyday people that looked like the average poker player going out and trying to do big things, whether they succeeded or failed, and not knowing what the conclusion was going to be, worked really well. And we wanted to get back to that. We've talked about getting back to that. And we've kind of been back and forth on it. And I've kind of been feeling like the time to potentially flip the switch is now or maybe never. You know, I think that content in 2025 is kind of like the 2025 version of what my parents used to do back when we were kids, where like every vacation we needed to take 10 family photos, one at every border, one at every like place we spent the night, you know, once in the morning on the beach, once at night at the beach. Because back then that's like how you like chronicled the memories, right? Like they would have those photos and then you'd go back to the photos and it would remind them of all the exciting times of the vacation stuff. Like nowadays, now we're in a content world where you can capture the emotions and the excitement of everything right here. And the thing that's been the most fun about the content journey for me personally is it has been my photographs. I can go back now and watch content I made. That may sound narcissistic, but it really isn't, because I go back and see content I made and I relive what I was going through at the time. And there's so many things I forgot. So many moments that I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot what my emotions were on that. And it's so refreshing to be able to go back and relive those experiences. So I think content has a lot of value. And in terms of the formula that works, I think the people that are in this room, plus Sean, who's not here, have the kind of stories that are relatable and inspirational, because you do all resemble the average poker player in terms of where you're at in life, not the average poker player in terms of your heart, your passion, your talent for the game, but in terms of just being people who have jobs or are transitioning into retirement or are business owners or are going back and forth between the dream of being full-time and not being full-time. You're all in those places and you're very relatable, transparent, authentic people. And that translates. The question is it worth it to do a season 2? Is this the time? Is this healthy? And I originally were going to have a meeting about this, and I was just like, let's just do it on the pod. Like, why not? Like, we're all about transparency, and that's a big part of my passion of content. So why don't we just come on here and talk about it? And I have 3 concerns. Like, I know the formula works. I know if we could get the finished product, it would do well. But I have some concerns, and this is what I want to talk about the group with. And none of this is really pre-planned. So we have the bullet points here, but I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. We might get to the end of the stream and go, we're going to do season 2 and announce it right here on the pod. We might get to the end and go, yeah, that's not a thing. It was a good idea. We're just going to let that ship sail. We'll see. But here's my concerns. And I want to hear your guys' honest, open, and transparent thoughts. Concern number 1. I looked on Polymarket right before the stream, which for those of you guys who know, Polymarket is a betting site where you can bet on anything. Literally anything going on in the world, they have odds for it. And it's been consistently extremely sharp. Like a lot of really sharp money goes in there and bets on these things. So the lines tend to be very, very accurate. We're at 62% right now to go into a recession before the end of this year. I obviously don't want to go into the details of all of that, but nonetheless, as poker players and as people that understand EV, that is a significant number. And that is going to have some sort of likely impact on poker. Do we see live poker take a huge hit if the economy tanks? Do people stop going to live events? Does live cash start to dry up? Do more people go play online? We saw during COVID, we saw a huge poker boom. Is it a positive effect? Do a lot of people start funneling money into poker because they want to try and chase additional revenue? There's going to be some potential significant impact. And that could play out in a lot of ways. Like, I'm curious from you guys, if the economy did tank between now and the summer, does that change your plans? Do you guys consider not going to Vegas? Does Day come back home early from Europe? Where are you guys at on what this could do? Because this is going to impact how we would make content moving forward.
Wow, who's going to go first?
For me, if we actually went into a recession, the changes that I would make, I think, I wouldn't be playing the higher live buy-ins. I'd still be playing, but maybe I would go and fire the 400s, the 600s, and maybe not so much the 1500s and the thousands. but I'm still going out there and firing, and I'm definitely still playing online. And I kind of feel like what you were saying, where more people might just like start finding other income revenue, and we might have more people come into online. I don't know. We might not. But for me, that's where I am. I'm going ahead and playing online, and just lowering some live buy-ins. What about you, Craig? What are you doing? Craig, you're muted.
Good.
My first thought,
Wait, I
like
like your thought when you're muted. No, go ahead.
my first
It
thought
was a
when
smart
I was considering what this might do to the larger market was, I feel like there may be some kind of like prudent people who do pull back a little bit in terms of like people whose disposable income is not they don't have as wide a berth as far as what they can afford to use to play poker or not. That might contract the player field a little bit. With that said, I feel like the money's still going to be there, or there will be money there, and a lot of reasons. Like I, even myself, I've considered, okay, how do I allocate my money each month, and I am and my investment money that I invest here and there, and I'm thinking, man, maybe this is a good time to not put that money into the market. Maybe I put it in turn, like maybe I should be investing in me. And investing in me is going to the card room. Now, if the money's not there to be won because the market's contracted and all that's left are the players that are better than me, then clearly that's not a good play. But I don't think. Well, I don't know a lot about. I'm not an economist, but I'm hopeful that some of these things kind of resolve fairly quickly, and that things might right a little, pretty, and the market rebound. But the reality is, this happens, and we have to weather these storms. And I think poker has always kind of weathered the storm fairly well. So, my immediate plan has not changed. However, if it gets significantly worse, a lot of my money that I've been making playing poker, I have invested, and I parked it in Bitcoin. I parked it in other investments, and those investments have lost value right now. So my poker bankroll has contracted. So there is a finite constriction limit there that would affect my plan. But at the moment, it's not. Now, my long-term plan, which we may get to later, it may affect if it keeps going. So I'll hold that for later.
Historically speaking, it's been kind of a mixed bag of people during recessions. Like our last 2 or 3 recessions, I think it's like half the time people have gambled more, like Vegas revenue has gone up and things of that nature. And then there's been years where it's gone down. So it will be interesting to see what happens this time around, if there indeed is a recession, whether or not people are going to gamble more or whether or not, they're not going to. I think we could have, it's very possible, a perfect storm, if you will, for online poker to be booming again when you have, global poker doing okay. You have WPT Gold now coming out. And then if people start gravitating more towards online poker, we could just have an online poker boom. So live poker would be affected, but so would online poker, but for the positive. And if you see like things like Bitcoin going down, things like that as well with the economy, kind of in a recession, then you're really going to see, I think, live poker taking a hit. But I think you'll see those lower buy-ins in these online tournaments really start boosting up. And that's like my plan is to stream more just for that reason alone. So I think that's going to be kind of where most people's heads are at when it comes to poker. In my opinion.
I agree with everything that's said from the volume perspective and where people will probably lean to. I think from a content perspective, and I'm going to be totally honest here, is I would want to question, right? It all depends on how bad things get, if things were to even get bad, and question, is what we're producing bringing light to the people who are watching during a tough time? Or are we talking about frivolous things and complaining or talking about things that right now feel important to us, but when people potentially can't afford their rent or can't afford their next meal, and we're talking about where we're going to play next, that just doesn't feel as important anymore. So I think I would take the to be determined approach on what could happen.
Yeah, well said. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think like let's think about this. People were pissed when COVID hit, right? And they couldn't play because there was all this random crap going on. I just think that there's a very good majority of the folks in this industry, right, or community, that they like the adversity of it, you know? And I think that for us, there is part of that story that's like, that is part of the journey, right? Like these are things that just happen when you're, a poker pro. You know what I'm saying? Or even, a rec. Like I think you get to a place where this is the story. You know what I mean? It's almost like, to your point, Mika, like there are some things that people don't want to hear anymore, or they're kind of over it. It's like everybody's story. But the reality is that there's a lot of things that people don't know. I don't know that prior stories, in my opinion, that I've seen that were portrayed actually give you like real life, right? Like it just gives you this overall glitz and glamour and then a couple bumps in the road, when the reality is that when you're someone who's truly trying to grind this out, or you have some really big goals, this is part of it, right? Like economy plays a part of it. There's just so much at play. I mean, nobody expected a pandemic, but the reality is in my opinion, this is where we truly get to bring the true meat of it, aside of our normal everyday story, right? I think that this is really like the opportunity to kind of show what that looks like. Now, whether it's people don't go, but there's still a story behind that as well, right? As to why we're not going. And it doesn't mean that like we can't continue to share that portion of the journey, but I do think that there's a lot to be said about what this really looks like for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And then what does that look like long term because this isn't the first time we're going to see this, right? It definitely, like, we've been in this place before, where now we move forward, people will know how to approach it, right? At least in this portion of like their journey in the game. You know what I'm saying? Or their just personal life journey, in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, more to that point, like I think when it comes to like a content perspective, like you were talking about, Mika, like it's not just where we're going to play next. Like for me, I'm not going to play live for a while, or even really too much other than online. Like I'm coming back from the bottom up. I mean, literally, like I'm feeling that economic pinch right now, and I really hope that my story just gives people kind of motivation and hope, and like say, okay, if Brett can do it, I can do it too. And hopefully just following that journey along with some of us here will really help, motivate people to want to do more and be able to get out of the rut that they're in, if that makes sense. So I think from a content perspective, it can be more than just, hey, where are we going to go play our tournament next? And therefore, I think it'll resonate with more people that are feeling the pinch right now or in the near future. Does that make sense?
Right. And,
Sure.
and I think that, like, example, the things I said this earlier, right? When I was talking about like, where am I right now? There's things that I'm trying to do that put me in a place to say, like, I want to be in a recession-proof situation, right? As crazy as it sounds, but you know how many people out there have actually made more money in their life during a recession? And it's because they set themselves up, right, to be able to do that. And that's just, again, a whole nother part of the story. And just like, hopefully the inspiration of these things, you know what I mean, can carry people to not think like, oh, well, might as well shut everything down because this is a shit show. And I'm going to struggle for the next 12 months, 2 years. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, there's a lot of ways around it. But a lot of people don't see the inside of that, not your average everyday people. So I think, like, that's part of it too, is like, how do you set yourself up to say, like, this is not going to impact me as much as it would others if I do the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of escapism for people too,
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's cool. Here's concern number 2. outside of Day, who has literally turned her life upside down and sold all of her clothes and is going literally halfway across the world. Her story is ironclad. Like, she's got this huge journey that she's on, and she's going to be changing all the time, going to different countries, experiencing different languages and foods, and like, very organic story. For the rest of us, there is a possibility, especially if things do start to struggle a little bit, if the comment, we could all get stuck in a rut where things aren't really changing, and the goals that we have now are still the goals we have 9 months from now, and the journey that we're, you know, all of the things that we're trying to overcome are still, like, the story could go nowhere, and that wouldn't be good content. Like, it wouldn't be very fun to watch, it wouldn't be fun to enjoy. So I'm a little concerned that, like, we could be in a place where, like, all of our obstacles, all of our dreams, all of our goals just keep getting pushed down the road, and there isn't some kind of actual journey we're going on. And at the same time, I don't want to push people to, like, force them into a journey or force them into change. I'm a guy that naturally changes, as you guys know. Like I said earlier, like, I get a lot of flack for changing too often. So I know that my story is going to evolve just because of the nature of who I am. But do we feel like we're going to go somewhere in the next 9 months? Do we feel like our story, our arc, not necessarily poker specific, but our lives are making enough of a direction and change that there will be an arc to what we're doing? Or are we just going to be, you know, a sitcom on repeat for 35 episodes?
Well, like, for me personally, I feel like I'm in the infancy of my comeback story. Like, it just got started. So I'm all about the progress. Like, it's going to progress in the next 9 months, 12 months, 2 years. Like, I feel like it's just going to be a constant, just, you know, staircase, if you will, of me just going up and up and up. And I feel like the difference between now and me 9 months from now, like, I'll be a completely different person. And I'm very much looking forward to what that's going to look like. And I want to bring everybody along the journey with me. So I know, speaking just from a personal perspective, that I will be 100% progressing throughout the next 9 months. So.
Well, this is the question, right? So there were things that got in the way of my story multiple times where I thought it was going to go, and then it got pushed back, and I thought it was going to go, and it got pushed back. You know, some things that were outside my control, but were very family bound, and where I thought I wasn't going to be in my life, all of a sudden shifted and changed. And you know, this is the one big concern for me about the economy thing. If the economy really goes worse and stays that way for a long time, it's going to have to push some of my story back, because, you know, I'm talking to my wife about, like, quitting my job and doing this, and my job has some nice benefits and some nice income and some stability, and then the backing of the investments that I have. But if those aren't there as that kind of backup plan, it certainly could create a delay in kind of what I might be doing. You know, and there's some professional goals too that you know, like, how you want to, like, there's no good optimal off ramp times. It's never going to be like the right time. So sometimes you have to pull the band-aid. So it is definitely a concern of mine. Is like, is my story even going to be interesting? You know, is there enough there that would evoke that storytelling and that change? So I do think it's a legitimate concern, and it's something that does kind of, like, eat at me a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. So here's the part that I don't know. Maybe this is just me. I know I have this level of transparency, you know what I mean? But part of all of this, man, is adapting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people in the world that either can't adapt, don't know how to adapt. And at the end of the day, like, that's what this is really about. And whether it's, you know, shifting a gear, and let's just call it just purely from the poker world, right? Is I love to play live, but that's a little costly now, so I shift to online, right? So you're just adapting. You know what I'm saying? Or you take the reverse and you say, you know what? I'm going to go play live because I feel like the fields are going to be smaller now. right? Because that's another portion of it as well. And I think like the goal of who we are, right, and our individual stories is some people will be able to adapt, some people won't. I think for me, it's going to be all about adapting. Is it going to be challenging? Yes. But again, that's just part of my particular journey and what I choose to do. And I think that like sharing those things is important because again, like we don't know, like there's so many people that we could overall inspire. I mean, in my opinion, we probably inspire most that don't even think to go fire a 2K event. You know what I'm saying? Where there's some out there that just do it on a regular basis. There's some that just don't ever fire a 2K event. I think like at the end of the day, it's all about adapting. And some of us will have that ability, some of us won't, but we have to be very intentional on like putting that out there, in my opinion. Like I think that that's something I would like to see. I'm always looking for folks that can show me a better way, right? Or show me how to work through things. And I think like this is just a pretty good example of that. And I think that we have the opportunity to do it. We should do it.
Similar to you, Jay, my story is about adapting as well.
Mhm.
And I'd love to say a lot it's going to change in 9 months, but my story is going to be more of a marathon and not a sprint.
Sure.
And it might take longer than the 9 months for me to get all of those pieces in place and then launch off the pad. So for me personally, I don't know if it will be tangibly different from a content perspective, my story being different 9 months from now.
Well, let me ask you this, Mika. Your end game might not change and the ultimate goal might not change, but is the trajectory that you're aiming for your goal going to change? Like maybe you start out trying to drive from LA to New York, but 9 months from now you pivot and decide to go to Denver and take the Denver to New York route. And so maybe the long game hasn't changed, but now you're kind of on a different path. Or
yeah, I'm all about if a door closes, looking toward the window. I'm never going to just take a door closing in my face and admitting defeat. And I can't plan for the future. I don't know all the variables, just like in a poker game. So
right.
my trajectory has changed since we started this pod, right?
Yeah.
When we started this pod, I was going to play WSOP all summer. And now I am potentially not playing it at all. But it's because I've put a more thoughtful approach into what I'm doing. And as I get more information, I'll start to adjust. But poker is still my dream. So that, and I don't mean to say that professional poker is my dream, because that's not the case. It's poker, fitting it in, traveling to really great places, visiting day in Europe, doing the things I love in regards to poker is my dream. So that won't change. How I get there might, though.
Perfect. I think that qualifies.
You know, Rob, something that like, everybody talking, when we talk about like what we want from this pod, when we talk about like, is it viable? And I just keep thinking about, is it more important that we're out there doing these new things, doing these adventures? I mean, I know I'm really lucky I'm getting to do this stuff, but I don't think it is. I think it's more the stories. I think it's more the personal growth and the personal stories than it is the going to this circuit event and firing 6 bullets in this one tournament. So maybe that's one of the things that kind of drew us all together is I feel like we're all kind of philosophical people who are on this personal journey, and none of us look the same as the other. Like all of our journeys are so different. We're in but what like we have that common thread of introspection and wanting personal growth.
And, some things I'm hearing too, right? Setbacks, adapting, starting over, new opportunities, new trajectories. This is what makes good stories. These are the things that resonate with people. These are the things that make good TV. So, like, I think everything we're saying, in my opinion, is pointing in the direction of we should be doing this for those reasons.
Right. And this is life, right? Like, let's be real. This is true life. And at the end of the day, like example, Mika, if you say, hey, I'm not going to go this summer, like I'm still going to stay on my path. My path just looks a little different, right? Because that's the difference. Like your end game, I think, Rob, you said this, right? Like the goal doesn't change, right? It's just the path to that goal just tends to shift. You may come out of this, Mika, and probably have the most profitable year that you've ever had because you did something else, right? It doesn't mean that it has to come with a bracelet. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, again, this is life. And as we share these things, I think that people admire that, because we're not going to give this, like, I'm not going to be filming some random bullshit video of me being at a Golden Knights game, right? That's the reality. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you the true, here's my life, here's the everyday player. And that's what I think is value added.
1000%.
So here is the one thing that I don't want to say you guys don't know, because that would be naive of me to say, but potentially you guys don't know. Going back and watching the footage of my main event cash in the final episode of season 1 still gives me goosebumps. It still gives me chills when I go back and watch it. I'm so freaking glad that I took the time to capture all that content and edit and put together. But in the moment, there were many times where the idea of turning that camera on was incredibly annoying. There were days where I just wanted to grind poker, or I just wanted to focus, or I just wanted to zone out. And I knew it was a time where content would be valuable, but I didn't feel like doing it. In the end, no regrets. But in the moment, there was very much tension. So this is going to be work. Like, I don't want to diminish the intrusiveness of this. Now, obviously, we've talked. If there's parts of your story you don't want to share, I don't want you sharing that. This isn't like a documentary where like every secret of your life is unveiled on public television. But like, there's going to be times where you're like, oh man, I know I should get this, and you're just not going to feel like it. And there's going to be days where there's really good content, and it's not that the story is embarrassing or that you don't want to put the story out. You're just going to have fatigue on wanting to do this. And pushing through that to some extent, again, we have 7 people, we can bounce around, we have some flexibility, but pushing through that to some extent is going to be one of the critical keys to this being successful. So how do you all feel about that now that I've given you a warning?
I'm sad you gave us that disclaimer about not sharing all of our personal things, because I had a great skit around my IBS.
Are you making fun of me?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that from last week?
Oh, God.
Look,
I thought we needed a little lightened up in here.
I love it.
Nothing worth having comes easy, right? That's the old adage.
Is this an IBS conversation?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, different than the IBS. But it's good things take hard work. Stuff that's worth having takes hard work. It takes pushing through. It takes the effort. And if it's not worth the effort, then it's not worth having. And I personally think it is worth the effort. And I think this is plus EV for our viewers. I think it's plus EV for people that are going to be watching us and following that journey and having journeys of their own, that they're going to, use this as that motivation I was talking about earlier.
Brett, is this the best way to communicate our message, through a pod?
I don't think the pod is. I think a documentary is better. That filming, that just following the journey versus just talking about it, seeing it happen is different than just talking about it, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Think about last year. I promise you, if if the world, and I'm not just saying this, right, because of, it's our group and I'm trying to like, promote anything, like scratch all that. You know how I am. Like, I love the people. I love my family and friends. But to be honest, if we had that camera turned on last year when we were in Vegas, man, there was a lot to be seen. There was a lot to be seen from deep runs, bad runs. And, I wanted to say this, post Brett, because if anyone was there, just think about this, Rob. If anyone was there for the conversation inside when we were talking to Brett, right? And this is like what, we were 2 weeks in, or were we like 2 weeks in, something like that, around there, 2-3 weeks. Yeah, about halfway through that conversation, right? And that was pure, genuine, from the heart discussions. You know what I mean? And there was a lot, in my opinion, that could be taken from that. And that wasn't like your average, everyday, like random Poker Stars story about some ambassador, in the game. Like, this was like real life implications of like things that happened, right? Like, that were sudden, that, we didn't know was going to happen. Like Brett, you didn't know what was going to happen. Like, you're 3 weeks in and all of a sudden life changes just like that, right in the middle of a series. Right. And those discussions, man, in my opinion, people need to see that. The feedback, everybody's different point of view. Rob came in with some pretty straightforward, like, here's what, being the natural optimist prime that he is, like, hey, just do this, right? And then you have, I won't go down the rabbit hole about my piece, but like that was more of like the in-depth, in your brain kind of conversation, you know what I'm saying? Of like having you think of this in a very different perspective, because, I'm the motivator in the background. And then having Craig approach this as like the teacher, like that his natural piece of that just came out, like the coach, and I think like there was so much to be seen, you know what I mean? Like me going in there thinking I was going to have a huge summer. I was at the top of my game. I was dialed in last year going into the summer, and fourth day in, I ended up in bed for a week and a half, sick. Like these are the real things that people need to see, in my opinion.
Yep. The life journey, that's part of this.
Yeah.
We're living our lives. We're not just chasing a dream. We're living our lives. And that's a big part of it.
Right.
I did a little bit last summer where I was documenting little things here and there with some short videos, and it was more for people at home to kind of follow along, people that had bought a little action and that type of thing. And I like give them a little, and they really, I thought it was nothing, the stuff I was putting out. It wasn't good. It wasn't edited. It was just little things here and there. And I keep running into people that tell me like that I didn't even know were watching. Were like, oh, I really, really enjoyed watching that this summer, watching, kind of following along. It's like I felt like I got to be part of the ride a little bit. And I was like, wow, okay. I didn't think anyone was looking and watching. I was just messing around with the camera a little bit, practicing a little bit, thinking about, maybe doing what we were doing. And then, Rob, you were talking about looking back. Many months later, I was like, let me go back and look at any of those, see if they're any good. They weren't, but like the idea that from the perspective of I have those now, I have that moment of the main event bubble bursting. When I was out there and Lori was out there, and I was like, look, you don't have to be in the room at any point, but be in the room when the bubble bursts and have your video going. And looking back at that, it's the same thing. It's like when I watch it back, I have that same feeling, like the hair on my arm stands up, and I remember exactly what it was like. And I had documented that trip really well. Like I journaled it. And I actually wrote a serialized trip report that I go back and read, that then eventually got edited down and published in a magazine in South America in Spanish, by the way. But to go back and read through that and remember what happened, I wish I had it on video. I just have these written memories of it. So, there's a lot of to be said about kind of trapping those things for yourself. But I was surprised that other people were actually even interested in the story.
Right. And think about this, man. there's nothing better than someone going and opening up an episode, right, where it's all about me enjoying my lovely time at the dinner table, enjoying a very expensive dinner, and then I pick my phone up and I go,
I know where this is going.
guys, we gotta go. Craig is finally going to have a breakthrough this summer, and then me running around chasing down an Uber, packing my lovely steak up, because it's going to be cold later. It's probably not going to even eat it anyway, then shooting over to this event and then looking at the face of disappointment for getting in with ace 10 in a spot that he shouldn't have.
How many times are we going to tell this story?
Because it resonates with me and the people,
Yeah.
I
feel like this is a version of a bad beat story for you, Jay.
Right. That's okay. $20 in the jar.
$20.
Yeah. Okay. $20 in the jar. I got you. But in reality, that's really what it's about, right? Because it's not just about us personally or just individually. It's about us as a team. You know what I'm saying? And what it really takes to be inside of a community. And a lot of people don't see that because they just see the true individual stories, but they don't really see what the community portion of it is like, going down and watching Brett bag while Mika's bagging the ladies event at the same exact time. Like these are the things that, people don't see. Craig running down and giving Mika a damn protein bar so she doesn't fall asleep at the table, right? Like these things, man, this is a lot. This is a lot, and I think that the people should be a part of it.
I think you picked up on something that could make that does add a little bit of interest or meat on the bone a little bit in terms of like we could all do these as little separate projects that all come out on one channel, but like the idea that these stories do intersect and when we are together, like that component of it is something that is relatively unique that we can build. That would be kind of an our brand type of thing where it's like. And then other people could emulate that, like the other people that are out there, or they're with their groups of friends, or traveling with their group of friends, or cross paths here and there, and that part of the story of that connectedness, I think would resonate with a lot of people for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I love doing the podcast, but I think a docuseries, I think us out in the wild, right? I think it's just going to be more interesting. And I think for me personally, like, I love what you guys, I mean, I know Rob said, Craig was talking about like having that diary, that video diary of you doing what you love and your passion and everybody's response to that, on the team, like that's what I'm in for. Like I think this is so awesome. And I love the idea of the docuseries. I really do. So I'm excited for it.
So I have one more question, practical question, but very important question. I think we've all alluded to how the docuseries is a more effective form of content and communication. It's a lot easier for people to watch a 50 to 20 minute polished episode than to listen to a 90-minute podcast that's 60 minutes of me talking, Jay rambling for 20 minutes, and 10 minutes of good content from the other 5.
20. I'll take the over.
We have the summer coming up. People's schedules are going to be crazy. Do we have this pod next week and do our strategy pod and call it a day? Ride this into the sunset? Call it a season finale so we can take the extra time and focus on this project? Or do you guys want to keep going?
You're saying
I think that's a great point, Craig. That was
I'm sorry. I thought about this.
Good
I was
job,
thinking
Craig.
about this. And I think that you have lots of these podcasts that are like companion pieces to other things. And I think that you can keep the podcast going maybe less frequently, maybe not a weekly thing, but that as a companion piece to kind of like because you have the stuff that's going to be edited, but like there's always like a little bit of the behind the scene discussion type of thing, and a little bit of the banter that we can get here. We're giving each other a hard time. That I think there's a place for both. I do think obviously the scheduling will be an important part of that, but I do think there's a place for both. Obviously, with a little bit less frequency.
Yeah, I agree.
What about, and I have an idea. What if we do the pod and we do a shorter pod? Like, we maybe have one subject or two. I don't know. Maybe we could do like a 45-minute to an hour long pod instead of an hour to an hour and a half long pod. Keep it a little shorter, keep it more, keep it fun. Honestly, I would love to get together with you guys on Zoom and just hang out once a week for 30 minutes, just to kind of catch up on everybody. We might as well just broadcast it what's going on with you. Plus, I'm looking forward to setting up this setup of mine in like country to country to country as I'm traveling, so I can be like, guess where I am right
That'd be
now.
awesome. Every time it's like, where's Waldo? Where's Day? We have to figure out like based on the background.
Yeah.
Figure out where she is with 3 clues.
Does anybody know the reference of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we're all old enough.
Yeah, we're all there.
I want to
We're all there.
be Carmen Sandiego. Okay.
I love
I'm
this
looking
idea, by the
forward
way.
Craig
I love this
wrote that show. I think Day's already missing us, which is very, very sad. We're not going to forget you, Day. We're going to bother you every single day on your journey and your travels. But I do agree. I do think that there is still a good platform, Rob, for what we do here. And yeah, I guess maybe there's a question of overall frequency, but I think there's more than enough that, we can bring to the table. Like, I think we like to have a good time, and it's also just time with friends. The great part about doing this is it brings us together quite a bit versus, like I can see these other 2 jamokes on a Saturday. But I think like just overall for us as a team, I definitely appreciate that. Aside of the studies, that you guys don't like to make me a part of. But, aside of that, I think this is still a good platform.
When you said jamokes, I got the Chronicles of Riddick vibe. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but it's like, I bet the jamoke knows.
What do you think, Rob?
Mika, I want to hear what Mika thinks.
Yeah, what do you think?
Mika's always so well thought out. I'm super curious what she has to say.
She was gazing at her crown trophy.
I have the little Tetris ball in my head. Just from like personal, and this doesn't apply to any of you. I know I am at my brink with everything going on, and I don't know how much value for myself or how much value I'm giving back to attending this on a weekly basis. I personally like Craig's idea a lot of having companion pieces where we could still get together, record it as little get-togethers here and there. Maybe it's we pop in for 20 minutes and it goes into like the docuseries, but maybe not having the live element. I definitely want to still meet with you all on some regular cadency because I agree with the relationship, but I know it's the most work for Rob, right? Rob does 95% of everything, if we're being honest. We're very blessed. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
But it's still like a lot on me, like personally, because it's like, okay, Tuesday night, I can't do anything. So just like blocking that off once a week is hard. I think the flexibility of being able to film throughout life and doing normal things might be more rewarding for me personally.
So this would be I'm just going to throw this out. Put the more attractive there you go. We don't need to see this hideous. This is what I would throw out. And this is just my instinct talking, and you guys can tell me what you think. I think that we can hang out as a group organically whenever we want. And while hanging out organically could be fun content or something that people may or may not want to watch, it still forces all of us to take a shower instead of a bath and comb our hair and be presentable and focus on what we're doing. There's a tension with it that won't be there if we're just on a Zoom call hanging out. You know what I mean? So I think there is a lower stress and commitment level and drain just hanging out and having team time versus putting that live online. So I would recommend one of two things. A, we go monthly and we do a monthly thing. Or B, if we think that there's value to weekly, what I would push for is maybe we get together as a group once a month, but then the other weeks I do one-on-one interviews with each of you. Not all at the same time. We rotate through you and catch up and do a behind the scenes one-on-one where you and me and one of you can have a 20 to 25 minute interview that won't be this 75-minute thing. And we just bounce around you as things are going on. Because it is going to be very hard, especially this summer. I think everybody's a little optimistic about how likely it's going to be to get together when everybody in Vegas is playing, so they can't be in the evenings. They need to go early in the morning, but that's days afternoon when she's going to be playing halfway across the country. And then we have people back at home who are grinding online. I just don't think it's going to be very realistic for us to get together at a consistent cadence over the summer. So I would lean towards either just going monthly, or I'd be happy to do one-on-one interviews because those are very low key for me. It's very organic for me to pull one of you in and just ask you questions and have a 1v1 conversation that still takes everybody through and keeps them connected while we work on season 2 without it being as much of a burden on each of you, which I think is going to be really important given what we're considering going into. Thoughts?
Can we do 1v2? So I like the perspective, you know, like I like the other people's perspective too sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it always has to be that way, right? But I do think that because there's a lot of times that we do kind of bounce a lot off of each other, you know, outside of just like the game. But there's going to be moments that we probably are going to be talking about those things, right? Whether it's a big spot or something like that, you know what I mean? And I think that that's probably something that I think we can do where, you know, it's us and you, or, you know, me and Craig and you, or me and me.
Well, there's 6 of you, so we could rotate every, like we literally could do first week of the month group pod, and then the next 3 weeks we could just rotate 2-2-2, and then nobody would have to be on more than twice a month.
Right.
Would be a very doable thing.
Can I be the one who interviews Day and Mika for the heads up at the main? I can do that, right? Okay, so when they're heads up at the main, I get to do the interview. This is gonna be great.
Can you also rap to Lose Yourself while we're heads up? That would
I will
just
do
be...
it.
Thank you.
I will do it.
Thank you.
I got you.
So I think that, you know, the docuseries is going to take, there's going to be a lag time, right? We're going to be always doing all this recording. It's going to be put together, and then it's going to come out after the fact, serialized. And what I would
like September.
Right. So I don't want there to be this, like, I feel like we've gained some momentum, some steam. We've built something. We need to kind of keep that train moving forward without having that gap from a time perspective, from an audience perspective. If we have actually generated some following an audience, we need to keep that moving and keep that ember burning until that comes out. I wouldn't want to like just go dark between now and then, even though with what comes out might be great. I think we should probably try to keep some forward momentum. That's my opinion.
But does the plan I laid work for that?
Yeah, I think so. For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it does too. I agree.
So monthly,
that ease-
is that where we're at? Monthly?
We do one monthly and then one like check-in interview. Would that be more palatable, Mika, with everything you have going on?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then what I would say is let's plan. Let's plan on doing a strategy pod next week. I want to give all of our viewers some fun tips. I think we've been ruminating on some topics we've been kicking around, we've wanted to talk about for several weeks. and then let's take a 2-week break and nail this in May and go into this new format. Anybody have any issues with that?
Nope. I'm going to share something though.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Why don't you take us out, buddy?
Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
She just started walking today.
Oh, that's cute.
Yay.
I'm winning. I got to go home and give her some like Cheetos or something. But yeah, this has been great. Definitely, I think it was a really good talk overall. Definitely appreciate everybody who comes and checks us out. This isn't the last you'll see of us. We're going nowhere. I promise you, we are going nowhere.
Click the like and subscribe.
Click the like and subscribe.
And share.
Don't be nervous. Mom Spaghetti. From everybody from here at Chase the Dream, we appreciate y'all. Love you. See you next week.